225 grams lighter, 9.2% stiffer and 6.21 watts faster. Giant's latest Propel has already taken 2 massive stage wins at the Tour de France, so let's take a closer look. When we saw spy shots of a new Giant bike ahead of the Tour de France, we were all left with the same kind of thought. It looked like Giant had simply welded a TCR rear end to a Propel front end and gone home for the day. While Giant will tell you that it's a fair bit more complicated than that, and well, it is, what we have in effect is a bike that really blurs the lines between the incredibly angular Propel of old and the uber lightweight TCR. In fact, Giant is really rather confident about its new bike, saying that the tests show that their new frame set is one of the lightest in the Aero road category. Giant say that the engineers focused on 2 key areas of stiffness. Frame stiffness, which determines the amount of overall frame and fork torsional flex, and then pedaling stiffness. From this testing, they're claiming that the new frame has 9.9% greater frame stiffness than the previous generation. Pedaling stiffness gets a 7.5% boost, while the overall stiffness of the frame set is 9.2% higher. Combining the stiffness with the overall weight of the frame set, you get the stiffness to weight score that Giant is rather keen on. In terms of pure speed, Giant says that the new bike is 6.21 watts faster than the old model. To put that into slightly more real-world terms, if you're riding at 40 kilometers per hour, you'd cover a 40 kilometer distance at a slightly lower power than before, or you could go 27 seconds faster over that 40 kilometer distance for the same effort. Giant has been to the GST wind tunnel in Immerstadt, Germany, to test the new bike with a dynamic mannequin. Giant say that this approach is best because it allows them to accurately replicate the effects of a rider pedaling against various wind speeds. In terms of where else the aero savings are coming from, Giant says that the new cockpit helps, as does the new Cadex 50 wheels and the matching tyres. That said, they're not giving us breakdowns about which bit does what, so we can't really say which bit contributes most. And then there's efficiency. Here, the reduced weight and increased stiffness works out to a gain of 26.4% in overall efficiency. Giant says that most of the gains in stiffness come from the modified sections on the head tube, down tube and bottom bracket areas. While we have seen a few bikes launch recently, like the Scott Foil, coming with super deep tubes thanks to the UCI frame design rule changes, Giant says that it didn't need to go crazy and hasn't needed to dip into the frame compensation triangles. While it is great to have a stiff frame underneath you, that doesn't always make it a faster bike. You do still need an element of compliance in a frame, or you'll be shaken like a vodka martini on a Saturday night, and the handling will be awful too. This, Giant says, is where the rear half of the new Propel comes into play. It has been re-engineered to provide a smoother ride quality with a claimed 85% added rear end compliance, which apparently also helps to make it a more capable all-rounder. Now, Michael Matthews taking stage 14 of the Tour de France, which finished up a pretty savage climb, was a clear indication that this bike can do a little bit of everything. Helping with comfort is increased space for tyres, and this thing will now take 30mm rubber. The seat tube, chainstays and integrated seat post have all been treated to some slimmer diameter tubing compared to the old model. This new design apparently helps to reduce weight, and it also, according to Giant, gives the new Propel improved road handling, which, seeing as it is a very sunny day here, I would love to go and test, but this is the only bike that Giant has for media types like us, so we're not allowed to ride it because I've got a history of crashing bikes. Hopefully when Giant has a few more units, we will be able to get one of these in for test, so keep your eyes peeled for that. A really neat feature that we see with this bike comes at the bottle cages. Now, usually these are quite boring, but Giant has specified specific bottle cages for the front and the rear. That's just to add a little bit of aero touch, passing the air around your bottle. One of the best changes, in my eyes anyway, is at the front end. We have a redesigned front end. This is completely different from the old model, and the old model looked sharp enough to kind of impale you should you have a bit of a crash. And that was because basically the cables had to move from behind the stem and then into the frame. The new design routes the cables through the bars underneath the new channeled contact SLR Aero road stem and into the frame. They go in front of what Giant says is a unique D-shaped steerer. This keeps the cables more hidden from the wind. It also apparently allows for easier adjustability, but for me the biggest thing is that it just, well, it looks better. Then again, that is quite subjective, so let me know down in the comments section if you prefer this design. Now, at the time of us filming this, Giant isn't yet fully set on prices and builds, so we're going to have to wait to find out. Basically, what it will be determined on is what the Tory party does. This one obviously is rocking the latest Dura Ace R9200 Di2 disc group set. So we have a wireless setup. We've got the latest Cadex 50 wheels on here and the new tyres too. One of the spec things that we do know is that the Dura Ace bike will come equipped with the power meter that you see on here, which is a really good move in my opinion, because SRAM Red bikes all come with a power meter, so it's good to see Shimano matching this. This bike is the uber lightweight model, and there is some very special paint, or lack of paint. This is just a clear coat of lacquer under which you can see the lovely raw carbon. Now, the seat post is integrated on this model, and atop of it we have a Fleet SLR saddle. That's from Giant too. And then at the front of the bike we have Giant's own carbon bar. Shimano bikes will be coming with a 160mm rotor up at the front and a 140 out the back. That seems to be now the standard option. Personally though, there's no getting away from this paint. I really love what Giant's paint department have done, so give them a thumbs up if you like it too. This is a bike that we saw do very well at the Tour de France, so if you want to see more Tour de France bikes, there is a video series popping up on your screen right now. Remember to like and subscribe before you go, and tell me what you think of this machine down in the comments section. We'll see you in the next one.